bow before me, fuckers! I got Metal Warriors. It's a pretty rare game that goes for, like, typically $100, and I got it for $30. There is a god, and it's incredibly anticlimactic that it's me. Smite. See, if you look real closely, you can tell that this is the real deal. This is the legitimate... Damn it. You're a video game collector. You collect video games because it's your pride and joy. Whether you collect for 1 console or 2 console or 40, you collect games because it's fun. But sometimes in the midst of collecting, you get a sought-after game and don't realize until it's far too late. It's a fake! Reproduction cartridges, the bane of some collectors' existences and a cute sub-hobby for others. These things have been around for some time now, being found on the internet, some small video game businesses, some cute little events house them, and Etsy, which falls under the category of internet. I'm a dumbass. Repros are typically made by flashing a ROM file onto a chip of the same size and placing that chip into either an official cart or a homemade one, and then it's sold on the streets as a reproduction. Personally, I categorize repros into 3 different types: ROM hacks, fan translations, and fakes. ROM hacks are great. It's already really fascinating playing ROM hacks on an emulator. Now imagine playing this on the real hardware. Stuff like this further cements the fact that I have absolutely no life. Or friends. Or social skills. For those of you that don't know, ROM hacks take a pre-existing game and make new games based on the foundation of the original. New level designs, new story, new mechanics, all thrown in to freshen up the old experience. Super Metroid Redesign is a good example. It adds an entirely new map for you to explore, new power-ups like the wall jump, and Samus's traits have been completely changed. I'm conflicted on this because while it is neat having Samus handled differently from the original game, allowing for new level designs taking advantage of the new control scheme, it simultaneously messes with my muscle memory because I associate these visuals with far more floaty gameplay. The is another good example. It's a horror take on Mario that plays just like an EXE game, but it's far more creative, creepy, and memorable compared to the garbage overflowing Game Jolt. This hack has actual atmosphere to it and new music to enhance the experience further. The fact I even have a card of this game is crazy because I couldn't really find many people making a repro of this hack, which is a damn shame because The deserves far more recognition. Another good ROM hack I have in physical form is Super Mario 3 Mix. It's definitely in my top 10 in terms of Mario ROM hacks. It's got brand new levels that are either from older 2D games like Mario Land and Mario World, or they're themed after some 3D games like Sunshine and Galaxy. There's not just new levels, there's also music from later games, new boss fights, and new power-ups. It's not perfect. Mario 3 was already a pretty glitchy game in its original NES release, but 3 Mix has so many more problems like frequent slowdown, random sprites just popping in, poor hit detection, and so many more. Some of the level designs from the other games don't translate well since 3 handles so differently from them, and while playing space-themed levels inspired by Galaxy is really cool, 3's mechanics weren't built around this idea, so it ends up just being a huge frustration. But I don't think these issues bog down the overall experience. 3 Mix is still very good. Now, Mega Man and Ghostbusters Redux are a bit lazy compared to the previous hacks we've looked at. They're graphics hacks that attempt to make the game look better, with Mega Man Redux leaving a lot to be desired. And I thought Duke Nukem Forever was an underwhelming experience.
Huntalec is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
The Ghostbusters hack simply changes the suits to better match up with the movie, and it looks good. I wouldn't call it the definitive version of the game, but if you want a different take on things, this'll do. Mega Man Redux looks really weird. Everything is shiny, giving off a feeling the world is made out of plastic, and the Robot Master selection screen looks like actual shit. I get it's going for a more detailed visual style, but the charm in the original was the simplicity. Everything was easily recognizable there. Here I can barely tell what Robot Master I selected in Redux. You ever been playing a Japanese RPG and then this happens to you? Oh no, a different language. Oh, I can't read this. Well, have I got a treat for you. May I introduce to you the fan translation. Now you don't have to learn a whole other language just to play an old game that was never released in your country. Fan translations are such a handy little thing. Some games, especially Super Nintendo RPGs, never got localized here in the West, so if you wanted to play these games, you'd have to learn how to read Japanese or wait until the company officially translated the game. Not every Japan-exclusive game has a full translation done by the fans, and some games like Trials of Mana recently got official translations. However, if your name is From Mission Gun Hazard, I'm happy to inform you that your passport has expired. The fact that this game doesn't have an official translation makes me want to commit a crime. It's a sequel to the original Front Mission game on Super Nintendo and takes a more action-oriented approach over a tactical one. Just like in the last game, you can fully customize your mech, but unlike the last game, you can freely control said mech in all sorts of different levels. The music is seriously one of the best soundtracks on the Super Nintendo, the graphics are very well done, and the story is phenomenal. Too bad it was only released in Japan and hasn't been re-released since! Considering how long it takes to get an official translation, with some games never getting one at all, fan translations are the next best thing, and repros of these translations are nice for those that just want to enjoy the home console experience. Being able to play Mother 3 in a language I can actually understand is a treat because we all know Nintendo won't ever release the game here in the West. Fan translations are wonderful, I don't think I can emphasize that enough. Now let's talk bullshit. See, fake games aren't inherently a bad thing, but even still, no one likes a poser. When fakes are presented as fakes, it's perfectly fine. In fact, some sellers even let you order custom copies of games, which I really dig. Take a look at my copy of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. It's got a clear red cart, and I love it. Other times, it's so obvious that a game is a fake, it kinda hurts. Then you have the flaccid brains who think it's funny to sell a fake copy as a real copy. Imagine you find a copy of Nintendo World Championships. Obviously, this isn't common. It's only $100. This is really not common. You buy it, it comes in, and it looks like this. But as long as you know the game isn't an official copy, it's fine. Some people buy these to round out a collection or just want a new copy that's pretty much guaranteed to work. Or believe it or not, they don't want to spend $700 on a game they may or may not like. No matter your reasoning, as long as you're not being scammed, fake versions of classic games are totally fine in my book. Some are probably gonna ask like, hey, where does homebrew and bootleg come into this? And I don't really consider homebrew carts repros. Personally, to me, they're not really a reproduction as much as they are just a production. Stuff like Battle Kid and Micro Mages are brand new games and new carts, so they don't really count in my books. And bootlegs are either poorly done ROM hacks or poorly done homebrew. Also, these things are totally worthless when it comes down to the preservation of gaming history. These guys are a novelty. They're something you buy because it looks really cool and not because it's gonna last forever. The internet's penultimately going to be the thing that preserves classic games whether we like it or not, and regardless of this, reproduction cartridges are still really cool. Off the topic of repros, this right here is an actual copy of Tengen Tetris that I have. It's more legit than my credibility, and if you don't believe me, I'm gonna bring up an actual image of the official cartridge just to compare. As you can see here, it's an authentic copy of the game.